Hey, I'm back with another episode, The Walking Dead episode 13. Bury Me Here, another review. It was a pretty cool episode. I liked it. Good little precursor to the war that's coming up, I'm sure, and all that stuff. Let's see. A couple big things that happened. A couple deaths, or at least one death. Well, yeah, two deaths, I guess. We'll get started with the review. Uh, So yeah, it opens up with the bloody truck and the one melon, and that's obviously something that happened later on. You find out. Goes to Carol having nightmares and stuff like that, which I mean, you can only imagine all those people probably have really shitty sleep. Their whole existence is pretty much one traumatic experience. So then you got Morgan teaching Ben's little brother how to bow staff and stuff like that. And I guess he kind of convinces him, or he tells him, he wants to be like his brother or whatever. Bullshit family stuff. I don't know. I don't like that kind of stuff. Boring. You know what I mean? Blah 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 blah. Oh yeah. Okay. So Carol wakes up, decides to go to the kingdom. Pretty cool. She kills a whole bunch of walkers. She does it in like a pretty kind of a cool way. I mean, it was pretty ingenious in that she's just sitting there just plowing away with the one-way sign, and I thought it was kind of cool. I didn't know if the one-way sign was kind of some kind of symbolism or something like that. Like right now, she's on this is the one way for her to go, or like a one-way path to destruction or something. I don't know. One-way sign. You know what I mean? Like you can't just put that in there and then no one's gonna be like, oh, it doesn't mean anything. Morgan and Carol chit chat. That's where he clears that she took down. She didn't kill that thing, and then on the way back, she notices that it is dead. Somebody killed it. She doesn't know who. Somebody's watching her, and it turns out to be Richard. And you see him digging his grave for himself. And he's got all the carts and that yellow box. So, yeah. Oh, by the way, yeah, the first time, you watch it, you got to be kind of a genius, and you got to, like, really pay attention and, like, catch your stuff the first time. So it's always the second time you watch the episode, and you're like, oh, shit, there's that thing, and there's that thing. Oh, it's so obvious now. Oh, blah, blah, blah. Like, how come I didn't see this in the first place? But sometimes you never do. Okay. Oh yeah, then we move to King Ezekiel. He's looking over his kingdom. I don't know exactly what's going on in his head, but to me, I think he's really contemplating the deal he's got with the Saviors, and he's thinking that it's getting shaky. It's might not be something. He's worried that he's worried about the Saviors. He doesn't know what to think. Maybe he thinks that they'll just eventually use him up and kill everybody, like they seem to do to some groups. Once they, aren't able to produce anymore, they seemingly just get rid of them. They kill them all. That woman comes up and talks to him about a little problem, which is going to become a big problem soon. They've got weevils in the garden, but they can cut and burn everything to fix the problem. Now, I am probably not the sharpest bulb in the drawer, but I felt like that little conversation was basically a metaphor for pretty much what's going on in the king's head now. He's got a little problem that's going to turn into a big problem in a matter of weeks, which I think is the war coming up and all that stuff. The weevils are in the garden. I don't know if that maybe is like the savior. I don't know. But shit's going down, and I think that whole scene right there was like maybe spelling it out for us, the fans. I don't know. Oh yeah, Ben, he's talking to, I think he was talking to Morgan, and he mentions that whole thing about to injure your opponent is to injure yourself, and of course he called the rat-faced prick guy a rat-faced prick, and then some shit happens later on that we'll talk about in a second here. Richard and Morgan bullshitting about dad stuff, blah blah blah. I think Richard, in these conversations that he's been having with Morgan in this episode, he's planting the seed in his head about killing and stuff, and he's like basically telling him like it's this, this is how it's going to go down, one way or the other. Like this is going to happen eventually. We're going to fight. Everyone, you're going to have to kill. No matter what, no matter what you do, no matter what anybody else does, this is how it's going to go down. And don't beat yourself up for it. Now, I don't know. We'll get to what I kind of thought he meant by that later on. But anyways, they go forward with their drop, and Richard's carts do the thing, blocks everything. He executes his little plan. Everybody finds the grave, and of course you notice all the carts are gone, because that's, he used them. He set the trap. They have a melon handoff, which is all tense. I noticed that the Savior's in charge. I guess this guy's name is Gavin. All the Saviors that have any kind of responsibility, like or men underneath them, they all sort of have the same speaking cadence. It's kind of weird, especially whenever something tense happens. You can do that, or you can do that. So it's always a two-choice thing. Usually, one choice is like you die, and then the other choice is give them whatever the fuck they're what they need. But yeah, I don't know. It's just something I noticed. Maybe they don't, or maybe it's just the writers of the show and they just happen to be kind of doing that, maybe on accident or something. But yeah, when you listen to all of them speak, like they all sound the same kind of. Their voices are different, but the cadence of their speech kind of sounds the same. Yeah, so Rat-Faced Prick shoots Ben. Richard, he assumed it was going to be him. He tried to get it to be him because he had already pissed off that rat-faced guy a whole bunch of times. But of course, that's not how the Saviors work, They don't take it out on the one who is, causing or whatever. They just pick somebody at random to send their message. Gavin finally spells it out for Zeke, for King Ezekiel, in plain English, like, this is how the deal's got to go, one way or the other, blah, 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 blah. Get your guy out of here and get him patched up. They bring him over to Carol, and of course he dies. Ben dies. He was shot in the leg, and there's some arteries there, or whatever. And Morgan goes apeshit, man. He loses it. He fucking flips out. He's having flashbacks of his clear mode, He sees Wayne, he sees the picture of his wife, little quick flashes. There's him scoping out his zombie wife and all that stuff. And, yeah, he's having some hardcore PTSD, man. That's happening for him. Shit's getting real again, so he's probably going to go... Well, yeah, he's probably going to go like halfway off the deep end, because he's probably just going to... Like, just take him and point him at the Saviors, and then just let him go. And that he'll be fine. He'll go and he'll kill a whole bunch of them on his own. And he'll probably end up dying, but we'll see. Yeah, by the way, he finds Richard's melon that he hid. And, he figures it out. He goes and confronts Richard. This is after he flipped out, too. So he's, like, unstable. And I don't think Richard kind of realizes it. But he confronts him. And then Richard tells Morgan that it was meant to be him. He wanted to be the one to die, and he wanted that to convince Ezekiel to join the fight. And then he's talking about how he's just going to do it, yada 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 yada. But I thought, when I watched the scene again after seeing what happened, I was like, man, I really think Richard is telling Morgan to do what he eventually ended up doing, in like a low key, subtle kind of way. I don't know. That's kind of what I got out of it. Of course, after the second time viewing it, the first time I was just like, man, this guy's fucking... Something's wrong with him. Yeah. So they meet for the second tribute. They're going to go ahead and bring that one melon. And Gavin is, he's the leader of that particular little group of saviors. He's pissed that Ben died. Yeah, man, because he's like a by-the-numbers dude. He's doing what he's got to do to survive. He's not a cruel kind of sociopathic savior like a lot of those other guys. It seems like he tries to avoid problems and avoid killing and punishing people as much as possible. But sometimes you got to do what you got to do. But yeah, he was mad at Rat-Faced Prick for killing him, so he told him to beat feet, get home. And then Morgan kills Richard right then and there. Richard goes up to the saviors and he tries to explain, oh, we know how to get by and blah, 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 and we got it, and, yada, yada, yada. So then Morgan's like, nah, dude, smash. hits him with his bow staff, and then kills him, chokes him to death. After all that, after he kills him, he tells King Ezekiel and Gavin, like, basically, yeah, this dude set all that shit up to cause beef between the Saviors and us. And, basically I took care of it, yada, yada, yada. We know how to get by. Everything's going to be fine. And it was funny because in Richard's plan, that was exactly what he was saying. He was like, you got to show them that we are on, we're on the same page. Show them that we know how to play the game. And you got to make them believe it, so then that you could fight them later on and all that kind of stuff. And it's funny because Morgan did exactly that. Like, he did something incredibly drastic to show the Saviors, hey, look, we're on the same page here. We're not fucking around either. Like, we get it, And then probably to trick them later on, to fight them, get them back, get their trust back, So yeah. Oh yeah, Morgan, he's flipping out, and he accidentally slipped and said Dwayne. I don't think that was his. It's a big deal because it's his son, and he's probably kind of been repressing him this whole time, or not really thinking about him a lot. And then that event triggered some memories and stuff, of course, because his son died in a really terrible way because of decisions that he did or didn't make. And so yeah, it's just he's sort of he's sort of a really philosophical kind of a thinker. So yeah, his whole thing is like, oh, didn't do something, got to do it. If I had made this choice, then this would have happened. Blah 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 blah. Oh yeah, after all that, he buries Richard, and he uses his bow staff skills on some walkers, trying to get some aggression out probably. He goes to Carol's house, tells her all about Negan, tells her about the baseball bats, about Glenn, about Abraham, the other two. And he's like, he wants to go out and get some Saviors on his own. He's in clear mode now from back in the day, and he wants to go clear. He wants to clear out the Saviors. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully he takes out a few. I'm sure he will. He's pretty gnarly. Carol goes ahead and joins the fight. She goes to King Ezekiel, and he's burnt up everything in the garden. He's replanting stuff. So of course that's more symbology probably. And yeah, so it looks like he's going to join the fight, but not today. Today is a day for mourning and starting again and all that kind of stuff. Then the last scene is crazy old Morgan sharpening his bow staff into a fucking spear. So now he's going to go on ultra kill mode, which is going to be great. And of course, seems like he's hearing voices, which is not a good thing for the Saviors. And we'll see how it turns out for everybody else. All in all, I thought it was a pretty cool episode, man. It actually was kind of one of those ones that had a little bit of everything, other than, there wasn't really anything funny in it, but it had a lot of drama. There was tense. There was a little bit of action, There was some zombies getting taken down, a little bit of fighting here and there. Not a lot, but a little bit. Enough to get by for a week or so. And, then you have it's just the brewing of the war, It looks like Ezekiel's going to finally decide to go ahead and go and join in, or something, along those lines. He's at least not going to be neutral, it doesn't seem like. And, we'll see how it goes. I have no idea what's going to happen next week. I always kind of forget to check out the promos. They're not, I'm going to watch the whole thing eventually. I don't really need to watch the promos, but sometimes I do. But yeah, so I guess that's it. And unless I make another video about something else, I'll see you in the next one.